Welcome, everyone, across Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, maybe Twitter or X, depending on what you like to refer to it as these days. We're ready to explore and dive in to some Domo AI chat, some Domo GPT, which I get really excited about because these are actual real world examples of some solutions that we're able to provide you and our platform and the Domo ecosystem. So again, we appreciate you joining us. And we promise we won't take up too much of your time, but this content is sure to be a good one because I've brought in the software engineers, some of our senior software engineers, Joe Clark from our software architect lab, Jeremy Rogers, our senior software engineer, and Nolan Landefeld here at Domo. They are really excited for you guys to jump in and ask questions and be a part of today's session. We already have some lovers of Joe. Chris says, "Go Joe." I love that. Please interact with us wherever you're watching,
Chris.
LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X, wherever you're at. Please make sure to throw that into our comments and chat section, and we will be sure to give you a shout out because that is what we do. All right, let me turn it over to Nolan again today. We're going to be talking about Domo AI. We've got some links to share with you and also some really cool resources. We're really excited about this session, and we hope you are too. Please, again, use the comments and chat section so we can interact with you today. And then if you're on demand, share this with your friends and audience members that might be interested in what we have to offer here at Domo. All right, Nolan, I'm passing it to you. It's time to start today's AI live stream insight session. Meet your personal data assistant.
Hey, awesome. Thank you, Eddie. I'm just going to share my screen here and we can go ahead and get started. So like Eddie mentioned, we're going to be talking about our AI chat feature and Domo GPT and what that means. So we're going to kick it off with just a quick little demo. So here what we're going to see is we're going to see our AI feature. Some of the cool things about this is you're able to go to any content in Domo and you're able to ask questions in natural language, and we're going to use whatever you're looking at to go ahead and try to answer that question. So here we can see kind of the process of what it's doing, and Jeremy's really going to dive into this in a lot more detail here in a second. But we also can see visualization here with our answer. We can break down those steps and see what it actually did, how we got that answer. And then we'll see, a couple new features of where we can quickly make edits to our charts. And then we can go ahead and save those. So here we can see that saved visualization. We can do everything we do in Analyzer normally from AI chat. And the nice thing is, we can continue that conversation. So if we have follow-up questions with this, we can dive into that. We can ask those follow-up questions from this chart that we're now looking at. So, here I'm just asking a very simple question of what are the differences between high and low. And we see it running through those steps again. We can see right now, it's generating the SQL to answer that question. I'll let it go for just a second more. And there we can see our final result. So there's a lot of really cool things there, a lot of processes that are happening. So we really wanted to dive into, how are we getting these answers? How do we make sure that when we're talking to chat, that we're getting the answers we expect? And so I'm actually going to turn the time over to Jeremy. Jeremy has his hands in AI chat very, very often. So we're going to let Jeremy take it over. If I can figure out how to change my screen. There we go.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Nolan. So, yeah, I thought it would be useful, as Nolan mentioned it. We've seen some of the features that AI chat has just in that little demo, and I thought it would be good to kind of go back to the beginning and understand a little bit about this new technology, these AI agents, and how we're able to do the things that we just saw. And so we're gonna, after we go over the basics, we'll go in a little bit deeper on our actual Domo AI assistant architecture. And then I'm gonna finish up by talking about how you can go about getting the most out of the chatbot. So to start, I just want to kind of give a definition for what an AI agent actually is. I think AWS had a pretty good definition of it, and they define it as an AI agent is a software program that can interact with its environment. It can collect data and use that data to perform self-determined tasks to meet a predetermined goal. So to break that down, I think there's a few important pieces in that definition. There's this ability to understand the environment. And as we saw in the demo, that's done through what we call focus, or otherwise known as context. We know what cards, pages, apps, or data sets that you're looking at. And then with that context, what the agent does is it goes through what's called a planner stage. So it has this ability to make autonomous decisions. And usually it does that based on a variety of tools. So we can see, that, whether that's just going to a large language model or just querying the internet, through Google or a calculator. It uses these various tools basically to gather evidence. And then it will, using that evidence, it'll actually come up and derive an answer that it returns to you. So it kind of goes through this plan, execute, solve infrastructure. So we can move to the next slide. I thought it'd be useful to go through just a basic example to see how this might work. So again, there's this, a little bit of pre-processing is step number one. That's where we'd implement some sort of guardrail, just to make sure a question's not malicious. But then, really it's that plan, execute, solve, where in the plan step, so I guess let me define the example scenario here. Here, I thought it would be interesting if we did a celebrity calculator. So you have two tools that you have access to. The first tool is a celebrity tool that just goes to Google and looks up a celebrity's age. And then the second tool is just a basic calculator. So once we get the ages of the celebrities, we can add or multiply or do different mathematical operations on the celebrities. So you could end up with a user question, like something like, what is Tom Cruise plus Taylor Swift? Now, in most contexts, that's not going to make a lot of sense, but to this assistant that has these tools, it's going to know how to handle this question. And what that ends up doing is, in this planner step, the LLM is essentially going to be able to break down that question and say, okay, I need to find Tom Cruise's age, and I'm going to use the celebrity tool to do it. I need to find Taylor Swift's age. I'm going to use the celebrity tool to do it. And then it's going to look and say, oh, I have a calculator. I can wait for the answers for those two tools and then add them together. And so it'll come up with that plan, and it goes into this evidence collection stage where it actually goes and executes that plan, where it runs the celebrity tools and the calculator to derive an answer. And we see 62 plus 34 is 96. And so all of a sudden this agent infrastructure is able to do things that obviously a normal LLM wouldn't typically be capable of doing. So if we take that basic example, and let's move to the next slide. If we take that basic example and we apply it to what we're doing in Domo. So when a user asks a question like we saw in the demo, it's going to move to that guardrails stage. We're going to make sure a question's not malicious. And then we're going to take a look at what tools that we have. And in the case that we saw with Nolan, it was the dataset query tool. And so the assistant's going to look at the question. It's going to say, I have this dataset query tool that can query a data set, and so I think I'll use that. And then it goes through the execution phase that we can see kind of down on the lower part of the screen there. It's going to have a variety of steps. So the first step of that tool is we need to be able to find a data set. So I was on previously with Tyson Farley, and we talked about vector databases and vector search. So that would be a good thing to reference if you're wondering how this process works. But basically, using a vector search tool, we can actually grab the data set that we know is the correct data set for this question. And once we have the data set, we can use our text-to-SQL tool that calls into our AI services layer. And using the data set and the schema, we're able to generate a SQL query. Then we take that SQL query, we pass to the next step, and we're able to use Domo to execute that SQL query on all the great things that Domo has, and that's able to utilize our PDP and all the protections so that you're not querying over data that you shouldn't be able to, and at the end result, it gets passed to that solver step, which will curate an answer to give back to the user, and then that's run through our guardrails to make sure that there's nothing that shouldn't be in there, and then you get your answer. So we follow this process, and this infrastructure, I hope it's useful because it kind of outlines some of the steps that the AI takes, and hopefully that will be useful as we talk about how you can leverage this and take advantage of these various tools to hopefully provide value for your business. So if we go to the next slide, you'll notice as we're talking through both of those architectures, really the main thing that changes is just the tool set. So there's this really, really cool idea where, here at Domo, we're thinking, what if we just let the user define what tools are in their assistant? Now, you could have what we call custom assistants. So again, I'll refer back to the live stream I was on with Tyson Farley. We went through a support case, like a customer service use case, using previous support tickets and a company's knowledge base. We ingested some of that data into a vector database, and we were able to ask questions over that data to answer current user questions based on what questions we had seen previously and what our best practices are through a knowledge base. So that would be an example of a tool that you could throw into a custom assistant. You could also imagine where we have AI service layer integration. So you're able to call into our AI chat or our text to SQL or our text generation models or our embedding layer. Really, any of those services that we offer could be potential tools or steps in tools that work with the custom assistant. And then you can imagine, expanding this even further where we can call code engine functions or trigger workflows or, build magic ETL tiles. Really, the sky's the limit. And I think there's just so much that we can do. We're really excited about, all the possibilities that are open to us with this new infrastructure that we've been building out. So if we can move to the next slide here, I wanted to move on. Now that we've kind of defined what that infrastructure looks like, I want to take a second and talk about, what about now? How do we get the most out of chat as it is today? And I've narrowed this down into kind of 4 different categories. The first is making sure we're picking the right context. Then, we're going to talk about how you can actually prepare your data to be AI ready. And we're going to use something called a data dictionary to do that. And then I'm just going to go through how some of the shortfalls and some of the things to watch out for and make sure you're asking good questions when you interact with the AI. And then I'm going to talk just briefly about reviewing your answers. So if we can, perfect. So first thing is what we call focus or the context. And so with AI chat, we have 2 types of context. The first is what I like to call inferred context. And it's just basically everything that you're looking at. It's the cards, the dashboard, apps, data sets that you can see on the page or that are referenced by material that's on the page. And you can find those just by clicking that focus icon in chat, and it will pop up and show you all the cards that are on the page and all the data sets. And you could toggle pieces of that off if you wanted to. Maybe you're getting an answer that is picking up a certain data set when you really meant a different data set that was in context. That would be where you would do that, is in here. And then there's also this concept of being able to pin data sets to the context. So if you're not looking at it, but you want to ask questions of it, or maybe ask questions in a chat and also ask questions of another data set that you are looking at, then you'd pin that to your context. So you could actually search for a dashboard or a card or a data set and pull it in so that chat knows about that piece of Domo content. So both of those things are really powerful. Now, this one I think is a really big piece of the puzzle, is this concept of a data dictionary. And basically, this is our way currently of helping you curate your data set so that it's AI ready. I'm sure many people have heard the phrase "garbage in, garbage out." And it definitely applies here. If your columns are column 1, column 2, column 3, there's no way for the AI to definitively pick out, based on your question, where your data is located. So that's what this process is going to help with. Is we're going to review column names, and hopefully rename poorly named column names, or provide synonyms to column names. So you could, if you have, for example, maybe your column name is client, but you often refer to clients as customers, then maybe that's a synonym. And so we're definitively defining what we refer to these different entities in the assistant, so that we can pull from that data rather than just trying to guess. And then providing good column descriptions is important, and then also defining just kind of what type of data is in that column. So one of the things that we see is it's just categorical values, and so we're able to handle this up to a certain point, but after it gets so large with different basically string types that can be categorized into groups, we often see those pop up in questions. And if we can refer to those, or define those in the that it's a categorical variable in the data dictionary, we can do some pre-processing to make sure that we have the information we need to provide a better experience. And then also picking out relevant beast modes, relevant columns. Maybe you have 200 columns on your data set, but you only care about 50 of them. That'd be another way of eliminating the noise, so that really we're just passing over to the AI what is relevant and useful, and that's going to help us get better answers, and eliminate the possibility that the AI is going to make a wrong decision. So if we can jump to the next slide. I just wanted to go through a quick example of asking a good question. And really the key here is you just want to be as explicit as you can. Don't ask lazy questions. It's not going to help at all. The way that the AI essentially works is it's going to take what you have, but if you don't have something, it's going to try and fill in the blanks based on a probability distribution of possible answers. So it's going to guess. And so for this particular example, I asked, how many touchdowns did the Browns score? Which is a good question, but in this particular data set, the data goes back all time. So are we asking about how many touchdowns did the Browns score all time? How many touchdowns did they score in 2023, or was it over the past year? If there's a time component, it's a best practice just to define that in your question, so that you're not leaving it up to probability. We can guess at it, and the AI can guess, and oftentimes it gets it right. But if you really want to make sure you're getting the right answer, it's just better to define it. The same goes for some of these categorical values, such as the Browns. If your data set says Cleveland Browns, and you refer to it as the Browns, you're just leaving it up to the AI and up to us to be able to make that mapping, which is something that we are capable of doing. But at a certain point, if you have 10,000 rows on your data set, it's not necessarily practical to go through and come up with all the different variations of that. So just as a best practice, I would try and refer as best you can to things as they appear in your data set. And then just make sure you don't leave out important details. As the session goes on, I always catch myself getting a little lazy and my questions get shorter and shorter. and that doesn't serve me well. So just something to keep in mind. So we can jump to the next slide. There's two other things just real quick. I just wanted to talk about, as Nolan pointed out, we're very transparent with Domo.AI. We want to make sure that every step of the way you have an ability to go in and verify the different pieces of the process that went into creating the answer that we provided. So you can actually see, this is a data set that we're providing, or this is a SQL query that we generated, or this is the data that was returned back from the SQL query. And so each step of the process, we're providing you feedback so that you can go and just, if it's an important question, feel free to go and audit. And, if we jump to the next slide, if it's not right, do us a favor and just leave some feedback, because, probably one of the most advantageous things for us is when we receive this feedback, we can kind of prioritize, errors that we see happening frequently, and we can come up with solutions for that. So just drop a couple of lines in as to what you expected and what actually happened, and that will help us improve the product. So having said that, I think that's basically everything I wanted to cover. I'll pass it over to Joe, and he'll talk about Domo GPT.
Thank you, Jeremy. So, here, 1 second. Sorry, had an echo in the room. Nolan and I are staring at each other from across the desk. So when we first released the AI service layer early last year, we started out with OpenAI, and that was for a few good reasons. They came out and they made a big splash with Domo, or with ChatGPT. But not only did they make a really amazing product that I think took a lot of people by surprise, but they also made it really easy for developers to start building their own products on top of it. So they had an API that we were able to integrate with. They had checked some boxes as far as GDPR and HIPAA, and as far as we were able to have an agreement with them that they wouldn't trade on our data. And that was great. We ran with it. We were able to build some really quick stuff, really cool stuff, really quick. But still, I think the number one question that we got whenever we talked about the AI service layer and some of the integrations we were making was, okay, what data are you sending to API or to OpenAI? What type of security, what type of data privacy do we have? And we had pretty good answers for all of those. But the truth of the matter is, we were sending our data out to our customers' data. Sorry, not the data itself. We were sending only metadata, but we were sending the questions out to a third party, and so we knew that we had to have a better solution, a better answer for that, so that customers could feel confident that we were taking care of their data, and the ways that they interact with our product, so that they would feel comfortable even using the product at all. And so recently we released Domo GPT, which is a collection of models, not fine-tuned, but built for specific tasks. So the ones that we have public today through the AI service layer are in our Domo GPT chat, medium and small. So if you have, depending on the level of intelligence that you need, you can go with the medium model, and that will be better at reasoning, better at certain tasks. But it's also, quite a bit slower and more expensive. And so if you have a task that doesn't need a more powerful model, then you can go with a small model, and you will have a better experience. we use both of these models in our AI assistant integration. Domo GPT is specialized at generating SQL, or so Domo GPT SQLs is our text to SQL model. We use that both for generating SQL statements for AI chat and in the views editor, and also for generating beast modes in the beast mode editor. And then lastly, we have our Domo GPT summarize model. Moving to the next slide. Just wanted to show a little bit about what the architecture looks like for Domo GPT. Like I mentioned, we knew that sending customer data to OpenAI wasn't going to be a solution that we were okay with, at least by default. And so we, with Domo GPT and also our other universal models like forecasting and PII detection, we wanted to make sure that all of the data stayed within our hosting environment, so that it wouldn't go, unencrypted anywhere. It wouldn't go over the public internet. It would stay right in the same place as your data and other Domo infrastructure. So when you use an AI chat or you use the AI service layer through workflows or custom AI apps in Domo, if Domo GPT is enabled in your instance, then you can feel assured that your data is not going anywhere. We do still have a large collection of what we're calling ML connectors. So if you do have a custom model or a specific model that you want to use for a specific task, you can connect that model from any one of these connectors that we support. Configure it in the AI service layer and start using that model instead, depending on the task. And we're really doubling down on that idea as well, because a lot of our customers are Databricks customers. A lot of our customers are Amazon customers. And so, regardless of whether you're building your model in Domo or wanting to use Domo GPT, the models that we provide, or our universal models, or you want to go your own custom model, we want to be able to support you. Next slide. So I did want to call out one document that we have on our website at ai.domo.com if you have more questions about security and privacy of Domo.AI. It's at the very bottom of ai.domo.com. There's a FAQ, and the final question is about privacy and security of data. There's a link to a PDF that will go over a lot of this. But the highlights are that your data stays in the Domo hosting environment. It's not going to be used to train any model unless it's one that you're training yourself. And it's the data that, or the questions that you're asking and the data that you're sending to the model are not accessible by any third-party model providers, either for logging purposes or for training. And so just wanted to call that out. That is very important for us. Let's see, do I have any more slides? I think I have a couple more slides. So if you want to see if Domo GPT is available in your instance and you want to be able to test it, first of all, make sure that you have the right grants. As of today, we still are only enabling these AI service layer grants by default for the admin role. So if you are not an admin, then you'll need to have a grant enabled in a custom role that's assigned to you. There's 4 grants. I know I've talked about these on a previous live stream, but just basic AI service usage. So if you want to be able to call Domo GPT and use it in various parts of the product, you want the basic use AI services grant. Create AI service models, let you connect to models from other providers or create models from Jupyter. Use AI chat enables the AI chat feature that Nolan and Jeremy have been talking about. And then manage AI services is just an admin level grant for managing everything that's AI related. Once it's been enabled, or once you have the proper grants, if you are an admin, you can see this screen if you want to make sure that that Domo GPT is the default model for the AI service layer. So here we're in the AI service layer settings. I've got text generation selected, and you can see that the Domo GPT chat medium model is the default model. And here you can also configure, if you have your own custom models, you can also configure those here. Or if you want to switch to, even if you're okay with OpenAI, we do also provide still the ability to turn on OpenAI, although I believe it's disabled by default. But under the settings, you can turn on OpenAI if you want to try out their latest GPT 4.0 model. I believe that's available now. You can switch to that. And I think that's it for me, Nolan. I think back to you.
Okay, awesome. This is my favorite part of anything, is talking about what's on the roadmap. So we have several different categories of things that we're coming out for that's on our roadmap. So one of the first thing is just being able to quickly get the answers that you need. So we understand that AI is not perfect, right? Anybody who's ever tried using AI, like, I'm sure we never got the answers that we actually were hoping for. So this is going to be a common theme in AI. And so one of the things we want to do is to allow you to get your answer, but then to be able to quickly change it as you need. So here on the right, we can see one of our approaches to that. So we're going to add, with the answer you get back, the ability to quickly swap out columns, add filters, add sorts, and to fine tune that in a quick way, so that way you don't have to create a full analyzer card to be able to change to get the answer you need. And then with that, we want to make sure you can change that visualization or save that visualization as well. So you'll be able to save it to whatever you're currently looking at, or an existing dashboard or App Studio app. And then another cool thing that we're excited about is Embed. So we understand that a lot of people use Embed to take their content and give it to other users. So we hope to have a couple different levels of Embed that we offer. So the first is just an instance embed. So this is something that, if you're embedding an entire Domo instance, you can have chat with that instance. So any dashboard a user has access to in that embedded instance, will be able to use chat with. And so that actually is available with their beta right now. The second thing is dashboard embed. So anytime you embed a dashboard, you can have the option to include chat with it. So any content on that dashboard you've embedded, your users can take and have that conversation with the data. As Jeremy kind of was talking about these custom assistants, one thing we want to get to is, with these custom assistants, being able to embed that assistant by yourself. So a great use case for that, and it's something that we're looking at doing here at Domo as well, is a knowledge base as an example, right? It'd be really easy for us to create a custom assistant that queries our knowledge base, but what do we do with it afterwards? It could be useful in our Domo instance, but it could be even more powerful if we embedded it on our knowledge base site itself. So being able to embed chat by itself and create a custom chat that is looking at our own knowledge base would be really beneficial. So that's something we've been heavily looking into. Response quality, Jeremy already talked about this, but right now in our beta, we do have beast mode support. So if you have a calculation that is shared on your data set, AI is going to be looking at that and trying to use it when answering as well. Another thing that is coming here in the next couple of weeks is page filters. So if you're looking at a dashboard that's already filtered down with page filters, AI is going to, our chat's going to take and use those filters as well when it generates the answer. And then the last thing is that data dictionary that Jeremy covered. That's something that's on our roadmap, and we've been heavily invested too. And then last, Jeremy already kind of covered this, is just that those custom assistants. We want to make sure that you can create a custom assistant. Probably the first couple iterations will be, doing things that we're already using in AI chat, but being able to point it at your own. And then, we want to get to the point where you really can create, most anything via those custom chats. So these are really cool things that we're looking into and diving into, and I'm super excited about all of them. So I want to talk real quick about how to use chat. So chat's currently in beta. So if you would like to participate in the beta, you can work with your AE or CSM to get access. A couple call outs is, that feedback that Jeremy mentioned, we do actively look at that. So if you are using chat, having issues, please send us that feedback. And I think that's it. So I'm going to stop sharing and we'll open it up for Q&A.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. We have a few viewers out there that have been chatting it up. Chris, it sounds like good friends of Joe, giving him all the love, but had a lot to say, which is great. It spurs discussion as this video is on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter/X. Another great presentation by our AI Labs team and friends. Guys, I don't see anything specific that's come in yet. We have some really cool stuff coming up in the upcoming months that we're excited to share, but we can't share just yet. So when that happens, please stay locked to all of our social media channels. We'll obviously do another one of these events, a little bit shorter than our other events on our AI live stream series today, but we're saving up for maybe a big reveal sometime soon. Look at that teaser. So guys, please continue to follow us, like, share, and comment on all of these sessions so that the powers that be know that you absolutely love them and we can continue to do them. Nolan, Joe, and Jeremy, thank you guys so much for being a part of today's live stream. I lied. We have a question. Chris, main question. What are the timing for AI and dashboard embed? Can we share?
Yeah, we can share a little bit. Short answer,
I don't want
Chris,
to put you on the spot, Nolan. Let's not get anybody fired today.
Our goal is to have it out when we release chat to all customers. So our goal, and that's our goal right now.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Again, we will let you go on with your day. And again, share, like, and comment on all these sessions. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.